Section 33. Vaisampayana said, Then, O Bharata, when the world was enveloped in dust and the gloom of night, the warriors of both sides, without breaking the order of battle, desisted for a while. And then, dispelling the darkness, the moon arose, illumining the night and gladdening the hearts of the Kshatriya warriors. And when everything became visible, the battle once more began, and it raged on so furiously that the combatants could not distinguish one another. And Trigarthas' lord Susarman with his younger brother, and accompanied by all his cars, rushed towards the king of Matsya, and descending from their cars, those bulls among Kshatriyas, the royal brothers, mace in hand, rushed furiously towards the cars of the foe. And the hostile hosts fiercely assailed each other with maces and swords, and scimitars, battle axes, and bearded darts with keen edges and points of excellent temper. And King Susarman, the lord of the Trigarthas, having by his energy oppressed and defeated the whole army of the Matsyas, impetuously rushed towards Virata himself, endued with great energy. And the two brothers, having severely slain Virata's two steeds and his charioteer, as also those soldiers that protected his rear, took him captive alive, when deprived of his car, then afflicting him sorely, like a lustful man afflicting defenseless damsel. Susarman placed Virata on his own car, and speedily rushed out of the field. And when the powerful Virata, deprived of his car, was taken captive, the Matsyas, arrayed solely by the Trigarthas, began to flee in fear in all directions. And beholding them panic-stricken, Kuntis and Yudhishthira addressed that subduer of foes, the mighty armed Bhima, seeing the king of the Matsyas had been taken by the Trigarthas. Do thou, O mighty armed one, rescue him, so that he may not fall under the power of the enemy, as we have lived happily in Virata's city, having every desire ours gratified. It behoveth thee, O Bhimasena, to discharge that debt by liberating the king. There had Bhimasena replied, I will liberate him, O king, at thy command. Mark the feat I achieve today in battling with the foe, relying solely on the might of my arms. Do thou, O king, stay aside along with our brothers, and witness my prowess today. Uprooting this mighty tree of huge trunk looking like a mace, I will root the enemy. Vaisampayana continued, beholding Bhima casting his eyes on that tree like a mad elephant. The heroic king Yudhishthira the just spake unto his brothers, saying, Do not, O Bhima, commit such a rash act. Let the streets stand there. Thou must not achieve such feats in a superhuman manner by means of that tree. For if thou dost to that people, O Bharata will recognize thee, and say, This is Bhima. Take thou, therefore, some human weapon, such as a bow and arrows, or a dart, or a sword, or a battle axe, and taking, therefore, O Bhima, some weapon that is human, liberate thou the king without giving anybody the means of knowing thee truly. The twins endued with great strength will defend thy wills. Fighting together, O child, liberate the king of the Matsyas. Vaisampayana continued, thus addressed. The mighty Bhimasena endued with great speed, quickly took up an excellent bow, and impetuously shot from it a shower of arrows, thick as the downpour of a rain-charged cloud. And Bhima then rushed furiously towards Susarman of terrible deeds, and assuring Virata with the words, O good king, said unto the lord of the Trigarthas, Stay, stay, seeing Bhima like unto Yama himself in his rear, saying, Stay, stay, do thou witness this mighty feat, this combat that is at hand. The bull among warriors, Susarman, seriously considered the situation, and taking up his bow, turned back along with his brothers, within the twinkling of an eye. Bhima destroyed those cars that sought to oppose him, and soon again hundreds of thousands of cars and elephants, and horses and horsemen, and brave and fierce bowmen were overthrown by Bhima in the very sight of Virata. And the hostile infantry also began to be slaughtered by the illustrious Bhima, mace in hand, and beholding that terrible onslaught, Susurman, irrepressible in fight, thought within himself, "My brother seems to have already succumbed in the midst of his mighty host. Is my army going to be annihilated?" And drawing his bowstring to his ear, Susurman then turned back and began to shoot keen-edged shafts incessantly. And seeing the Pandavas return to the charge on their car, the Matsya warriors of mighty host, urging on their steeds, shot excellent weapons for grinding the Trigarthas soldiers. And Virata's son also, exceedingly exasperated, began to perform prodigious feats of valor. And Kuntis and Yudhishthira slew 1,000 of the foe, and Bhima showed the abode of Yama unto 7,000, and Nakula sent 700 to their last account by means of his shafts. And powerful Sahadeva also, commanded by Yudhishthira, slew 300 brave warriors. And having slain such numbers, that fierce and mighty warrior, Yudhishthira, with weapons upraised, rushed against Susurman, and rushing impetuously at Susurman, that foremost of car warriors, King Yudhishthira assailed him with volleys of shafts. And Susurman also, in great rage, quickly pierced Yudhishthira with 9 arrows, and each of his 4 steeds with 4 arrows. Then O King, Yudhishthira's son Bhima, of quick movements, approaching Susurman, crushed his steeds, and having slain also those soldiers that protected his rear, he dragged from the car his antagonist charioteer to the ground. And seeing the king of Trigarthas' car without a driver, the defender of his car fields, the famous and brave Madiraka, speedily came to his aid, and thereat leaping down from Susurman's car and securing the latter's mace, the powerful Virata ran in pursuit of him, and though old, he moved on the battle, mace in hand, even like a lusty youth. And beholding Susurman flee, Bhima addressed him, saying, "Desist, O prince, this fight of thine is not proper. With this prowess of thine, how couldst thou wish to carry off the cattle by force? How also, forsaking thy follower, dost thou droop so amidst foes?" Thus addressed by Pritha's son, the mighty Susurman, that lord of countless cars, saying unto Bhima, "Stay, stay," suddenly turned round and rushed at him. Then Bhima, the son of Pandu, leaping down from his car as he alone could do, rushed forward with great coolness, desirous of taking Susurman's life and desirous of seizing Trigarthas' king. Advancing towards him, the mighty Bhimasena rushed impetuously towards him, even like a lion rushing at a small deer. And advancing impetuously, the mighty armed Bhima seized Susurman by the hair, and lifting him up in wrath, dashed him down on the ground. And as he lay crying in agony, the mighty armed Bhima kicked him at the head, and placing his knee on his breast, dealt him severe blows. And sorely afflicted with that kicking, the king of the Trigarthas became senseless. And when the king of the Trigarthas, deprived of his car, had been seized thus, the whole Trigartha army, stricken with panic, broke and fled in all directions. And the mighty sons of Pandu, endued with modesty and observant of wars, and relying on the might of their own arms, after having vanquished Susurman, and rescued the kine as well as other kinds of wealth, and having thus dispelled Virata's anxiety, stood together before that monarch. And Bhimasena then said, "This wretch, given to wicked deeds, doth not deserve to escape me with life. But what can I do? The king is so lenient." And then taking Susurman by the neck as he was lying on the ground, insensible and covered with dust, and binding him fast, Pritha's son Rikodara placed him on his car, and went to where Yudhishthira was staying in the midst of the field. And Bhima then showed Susurman on to the monarch, and beholding Susurman in that plight, that tiger, men among men, King Yudhishthira smilingly addressed Bhima, that ornament of battle, saying, "Let this worst of men be set free." Thus addressed Bhima spoke on to the mighty Susurman, saying, "If, O wretch, thou wishest to live, listen to those words of mine. Thou must say in every court and assembly of men, I am a slave. On this condition only I will grant thee thy life. Verily, this is the law about the vanquished. Thereupon his elder brother affectionately addressed Bhima, saying, If thou regardest us as an authority, liberate this wicked bait. He hath already become King Virata's slave. And turning then to Suserman, he said, Thou art freed. Go thou a free man, and never act again in this way. Thus ends the 33rd section in the Go-harana Parva of the Virata Parva.